What is up, everyone? Crunchy Frog here, and one of the core experiences in every new COD game is the camo grind. Introduced the whole way back in COD 4, camos are basically a way to show off your skill or accomplishments on your weapons for everyone to see. Kind of a badge of honor showcasing your prowess, or at least your time spent in the game. Every year the camo grind is kind of refined and expanded, and what began as a simple 4 or 5 camouflages back in 2007 has now ballooned to over 800 camos and several tiers of various mastery camos. Now, Modern Warfare 2, the one from 2022, introduced, in my opinion, the most consumer-friendly and enjoyable camo grind of recent years. Camos felt attainable without being too easy to get, and you still respected those people who went out and got the platinum camos or polyatomic or even, obviously, Orion camo, while still feeling like those accomplishments were within reach. The everyman could now feasibly get mastery camos, and they weren't locked behind some massive mind-numbing slogs like the previous few years since Call of Duty 2019. Now, in my review of Modern Warfare 2 from last year, I stated that the camo progression system was the best it has ever been in Call of Duty, and in this year with Modern Warfare 3, it just took that system and refined it even further, smoothing out the edges, removing problem points that the community hated, and overall just making the experience a lot more exciting. As a matter of fact, the process was so refined that this year, for the first time ever in my Call of Duty career, I have completed the grind and was able to unlock Interstellar. I got the final mastery camo for all weapons in the game. So I wanted to create a small mini series of videos where we'll dive into each tier of the camo grind, and I'll break down how to obtain the camos so it acts as kind of a guide for you guys, as well as giving my thoughts and kind of reviews along the way on particular challenges and what I found to be maybe too easy or definitely too annoying or difficult along the way, things that I would change up to make it even better. And today specifically though, we'll be breaking down the base camo challenges. So the 4 challenges that you'll need to complete on each gun in order to then unlock the gold challenge, which we'll be covering in our next video. So if you guys enjoy content like this, make sure to leave a like. It helps a lot of other people find this channel and helps us grow here. And of course, if you want to see more content like this, make sure to drop a subscription, subscribe to the channel to be notified for future videos. We're going to be doing a lot of Call of Duty discussions as well as other video gaming commentaries and news and reviews, stuff like that. And of course, if you would like to support the channel, make sure to click that join button and sign up to be a channel member. It goes a long way to help support the channel and kind of offset the cost of content creation. So we'll just get right into this, kind of give an overall feel for again, this is the base camos in the game. And honestly, the most annoying part of this entire thing is the level grind, right? Every weapon has between 20 and 30 levels. Obviously, some are a couple levels higher than 30. Some are a couple levels below 20, but that's kind of the range that you're looking at. And without double XP, it can take forever. Now, if it's a gun that you enjoy, it's a gun that you like using, you're not even going to realize it. You're just going to be playing the game. The gun levels up, once or twice every game, and you really don't think about it. But when it comes to the really terrible guns, and we'll get to those later, you can find that it is an absolute slog. Now, obviously, there's been a couple double XP weekends. I made absolutely the most use out of those, especially the one around Thanksgiving. I've also burned tons of gun XP tokens that I had from various battle passes and challenges and stuff like that. So I tried to use as much double XP as possible to make it as painless as possible, but it was still extremely annoying. And once I got all guns to max level, it was like a massive weight was lifted from my shoulders. So be prepared to sink most of your time into just leveling these things up. A lot of the camo challenges are super quick. You can get several in one match, but guns can take hours each one to level up to max level. And that could be a discussion for a different day. We could talk about the gun leveling system and kind of that side of progression, but just know that the worst part of getting the mastery camo is leveling every single gun up, which obviously you have to do first to start at the base camo level that we're talking about here today. Next up, overall, some of these challenges are very inconsistent, and they'll get even more inconsistent as we go deeper into the, gold, platinum, and priceless challenges in the future videos. Some are, the easiest, get 5 kills here that you can literally wipe out in maybe 30 seconds if you're on shipment, while others might take you an entire evening to try to get, just because they're so annoying. So while none of them are expressly difficult, especially the ones in this video, it just feels very inconsistent, and we'll bring up some specific examples later. Just some are way easier to get than others, and it's kind of odd, especially with the numbers of things to get. Basically, if you're looking for a comparison, this felt just about as easy to get the base camos this year as it did last year. Obviously, I don't have, any time statistics to say, it took me 8 hours to get and 7 hours last year or anything like that. But just as an overall feel, kind of the vibe, it feels about as difficult as it did last year. So it's pretty easy. Pretty much everyone should be able to get these, and that's kind of the point. So, don't worry too much. If you were able to get them pretty quick last year, you should be fine this year as well. I also want to point out that there are some very cool camos. Now, as I'm going through, as I begin each weapon category, I'll be kind of cycling through and showing all of the different camos, and there are some really cool ones. For example, I really enjoyed the 8-bit series that they came out with. I think it's like retro or classic or something it's called. Some of those 8-bit graphics look super cool in the weapons. I know there's one that kind of looks like magma or like lava rocks. That looks super great. So they did a great job with the base camos. Obviously, they're kind of underappreciated because you might never see it again once you start unlocking golds and platinums and the such. But they really went out of their way to make some awesome gun skins. And, now they're up to, like I said, over 800. So you'll definitely find one that you enjoy here. As with last year, I do wish that all camos were available from the start of the weapon level, as opposed to having to get to max level to get the last camo and stuff like that. I think maybe just gold should need that max level. Other than that, I think everything should open up at maybe like weapon level 2, and you immediately can start progressing all 4 of the camos. Some of these are like really kind of odd or rare kills to get, and they would just be much better to just kind of accumulate them as you're leveling the weapon up. There was so many times where I was like, oh, I've gotten 10 of these type of kills, but it didn't count because my weapon level wasn't high enough yet. And then by the time I get to the weapon level, then I have to get more of those kills. So again, it's not a huge deal, and it's probably fine the way that they did it, but I would just like to see that all opened up right away. The next thing, and this is a problem with all Call of Duties in all aspects, the challenge tracking is horrible. Not only can you not check these things in game, which is still, in my mind, a horrible decision. I wish they would let you check this stuff in game or change your camos in game. But also, half of these challenges just didn't track. Either they didn't track when you did something, or they gave you extra points even when you didn't get it. I can't tell you how many times that, it says get a 5 kill streak, and I would finish the camo after getting a single kill, right? So either something's not worded right, or their tracking isn't worded right. And I know that, especially with some of these challenges, I know I would do the thing it's asking me to do, and it just would only count, 1 out of every 3 or something like that. That's not new to Modern Warfare 3. That's not specific to camo grinding. That's pretty much been a COD issue, like I said, in all challenge aspects in the last 4 or 5 years. But it is extremely annoying, especially when the game is so built around getting these challenges, especially camo challenges, and it just still can't track them correctly, or it still words things incorrectly, so you end up doing the wrong thing. Obviously, I'll mention specific instances where this got really bad as they come up. Now, kind of a warning or a preface to this, I did most of these challenges in hardcore. I played normal playlists like I have for years for the first, 2 or 3 weeks. One of the challenges, I thought to myself, oh, this would be so much easier in hardcore. I end up started playing hardcore, and I now enjoy playing hardcore better than I do core. I think it's the TTK in this game, but just so you know, some of these might be easier or harder, depending if you play hardcore like myself, or if you play in the normal, core playlists with 150 health. I also want to preface that I did not do any of the knives, nor did I do the launcher camos. Now, if you know how the system works, basically, in order to get the mastery camo in Modern Warfare 2 and Modern Warfare 3, you only have to complete X number of priceless or polyatomic challenges. Now, that number is consistent with the amount of guns that are available on release, so that does not change. So, for example, this time it was get 36 priceless challenges. because there was 36 weapons, including the knives and launchers. However, they've since added, I think, 4 or 5 or 6 weapons or something like that since launch, and all of those count, but that number doesn't go up. So with every weapon, I was able to eke out, I didn't have to do the launcher, and then I didn't have to do the knives, and I still got Interstellar. So we won't be going over the knives or the launcher challenges. I basically just waited till the other weapons came out because I didn't want to use those. And honestly, I recommend doing the same. The knife challenges rather, and the launcher challenges are super annoying. I remember at the beginning of the game, everybody was, typing in chat every match, please use claymores to get their launcher challenge. I know it's only one launcher, but it's still kind of annoying. And my friend had an absolute hell of a time trying to get the knife challenges. It's just not worth it. In my opinion, I was able to use guns that I was much better with, even though one of them was a sniper. And it was just made for a much more enjoyable experience. So make sure to remember that tip. You don't have to do every single weapon. You just got to do 36. So if you wait till season 3 or 4, you're probably not even going to have to use a weapon type that you don't like. So with all that out of the way, let's get right into the specific weapon groups, go over their requirements, and kind of break down, give a little bit review of each challenge, and kind of give you guys some pointers on how to get these challenges if you haven't already. So the first group up obviously is the assault rifles. So to get the assault rifles, the first challenge you get is just get 50 kills. That's super easy, and this is the same across all weapon types, so we really won't touch on this ever again. Just know that the first challenge for each weapon type is just get 50 kills. Then obviously below that for assault rifles is get 50 ADS kills, which if you're like me, almost every kill is going to be aimed down sight, maybe the occasional hip fire if somebody gets too close or something like that. So this is basically just another get 50 kills challenge. Again, super easy, maybe a little bit high, 50 kills is a lot, but again, you have so many weapon levels ahead of you once you unlock this challenge that you're not even going to know that you're going for this camo. So super easy. Next up is get 15 headshots. Now again, this is fairly simple. Back in the day, 15 headshots really only got you 1 or 2 camos. I think in Modern Warfare 2 back in 2009, that got you up to digital camo. So hardly anywhere realistically. So, it's not that many. It's only 15 headshots, and it's pretty easy. It's not even the last camo that you get, so you should probably have this unlocked by the time you hit max weapon level. And yeah, super easy challenge once again. And finally, the last challenge, the base camo challenge that is, for assault rifles are 25 tac stance kills, which in my mind is another super easy challenge, especially if you play in hardcore, because you only need 1 or 2 bullets out of that spread to hit, so you don't have to worry as much about tac stance spread or anything like that. And in my experience in both core and hardcore, the gun didn't even really need to be kitted out that much to maximize the tac stance efficiency. There are definitely attachments that you can put on to make it a little more accurate and stuff like that, but I don't even think it was needed. And again, it's only 25 kills, so it was really quick to get. And to be completely honest, it got me familiar with tac stance, and it served as kind of a nice tutorial to learn how to use it and its benefits and everything like that. And I now actually use it a decent amount in normal gameplay, especially when I'm clearing buildings or I want that nice in-between between aiming down sight and firing from the hip. Especially with some of the more unwieldy guns, it helps a lot with ADS speed, stuff like that. So I actually really like that it taught me how to use a brand new game mechanic, as well as, again, it was a super easy challenge. It is the last one you unlock, but it's really easy. Overall, the base camos, I think assault rifles is the easiest class. It's also my favorite class of weapon to use, so that made it even easier. But I just think the challenges are super straightforward. They're just things that you're going to get by playing the game, with the exception of tac stance kills. But again, that's not even a crazy deviation from normal gameplay. I think it took me all of 1 or 2 matches, or far less if you're playing something like Shipment. You can get 2 or 3 guns in one match on that map. So super easy. All of the assault rifles play really well. I enjoyed using all of them. Again, obviously leveling all of them up was kind of annoying, but overall super easy weapon class, and something that I think beginners should definitely strive for to get all of the base camos done on the assault rifles first. So with those out of the way, we'll move on to the SMG category. Now again, the first challenge, like we said, 50 kills, pretty self-explanatory. The next one will be 25 hipfire kills. Now these can be slightly annoying with the time to kill of SMGs, especially around the launch of the game. The SMGs were heavily underpowered, and so, you know, with hipfire you're a lot less accurate and a lot less bullets are hitting them, so whenever you need a lot more bullets to kill, that can kind of be annoying. But again, it's only 25 kills. I did it in hardcore, so you only needed 1 or 2 to hit, and you know, finish pretty quick if you're playing on Rust or Shipment or something like that. I did find that it was much more advantageous to use hipfire boosting attachments, unlike the tac stance kills mentioned above. So definitely take the time, add an attachment or two to your gun to help with that hipfire accuracy. You should be able to knock that out super quick. Next up was 10 crouch kills. Now, this is only 10 kills. I want to preface what I'm about to say by saying I do know that this is only 10 kills. It should be relatively quick, not even one match per gun to get this. But it was annoying just because of how much it slows you down. In the modern day of COD, the gameplay is just so fast and frenetic. We have movement demons, you know, just slide canceling and jumping and all over the place. And so to sit there and have to crouch and kind of sneak around, it was kind of annoying. But again, at the same time, it is literally just 10 kills. And some of them I was able to just kind of bundle. When I was running double XP, I was leveling up so quickly that I had the hipfire attachment or hipfire challenge still going with the crouch. And you just literally crouch and hipfire. And, you know, it's super easy to knock out. Again, it's 10 kills. But I just want to put that out there that this is probably the first camo that we've talked about that actively really changes how you have to play and can lead to maybe some boring or frustrating gameplay moments. And finally, for SMGs, we have come to the bane of my existence, which is kill 15 enemies affected by your tactical grenade. I gotta say, this is my least favorite challenge out of all of them. Out of every single camo challenge in the game, this is the worst by far. The tracking is abysmal. We talked about that earlier in the video, but the tracking here is even worse. I know I physically counted, you know, I'd get a hit marker from a flash grenade and then I'd kill a person. So I kept a tally, and for the first weapon, the striker, I had to get 31 of these kills just for 15 of them to count. So that's roughly counting only 50% of them. So that made it even worse. Not only did I hate doing it in the first place, I had to do it twice as often as I probably should have. Now, not all weapons were that bad. Typically, it was counting about 75 to 85% from my count. Some people, it may have counted every single one they did. You know, I can't really say, but the tracking is really bad, and that just adds to how long this takes. So even though it says you only have to get 15, expect to do at least 20, I would say, which is really annoying. And I will say that this challenge does come back later on. So in our other videos, we will be talking about it. And it seemed to track a little better there. I don't know why it tracked so horribly for the base camos. Maybe it was just as time went on, more patches went out that made tracking a little better for it. But God, it was abysmal. And to kind of go along with the crouch comments that I was making, you have to completely change how you play. Like, flip it 180 degrees on your head. Realistically, the average person probably only gets, I don't know, 1 to 5 of these type of kills per play session, right? It's not something that happens all the time. It's kind of very situational. So if you're grinding it and you want it to be done in any reasonably timed fashion, you're going to have to completely change how you play. You have to put on the vest, I think it is, that gives you 2 tacticals, and then essentially you only get 2 chances per life, and it's just super annoying. Again, you have to completely change how you have to play. You have to kind of gauge every gunfight for, do I have enough time to throw a stun first, duck behind a wall, wait for them to get stunned, and then kill them and hope that they don't still kill you, which happens a lot. For some reason, I felt like I would stun or flash people and they'd still be able to kill me no problem, so they're not as advantageous as they were back in the day, I don't think. Also, the possibility for kill steals is high. Obviously, if you have any teammates around you, they see a stunned person, that person is essentially sitting duck sometimes. I had so many of my kills stealing, especially on the smaller maps like Rust or Shipment or anything like that. Obviously, once Shipment came around, I was able to get it a lot faster just because you're able to kind of sneak up on people or they spawn in front of you. There's just a myriad of different ways that you can kind of luck into getting these kills. So it got a lot easier there. But in the beginning of the game, when that map wasn't added yet, these challenges were abysmal, and this is by far the worst camo challenge in the game. Not just the worst base camo challenge, but the worst camo challenge. And again, it comes up in future iterations as well in all of the various mastery tiers. So super annoying. I don't know why they use this so much. They had like such a hard on for this challenge, then they just tossed it everywhere it would stick, and it was the worst. And I've seen so many people complain about it on Twitter. I've seen rants on Twitter, rants on YouTube. I know, one of my favorite YouTubers, Near Cinema, has complained about it several times. Nobody seems to like this, and everybody seems to have the exact same problems as me. So if you're just getting into the SMGs, be prepared to kind of hate your life for a while you do this challenge. Overall, though, the weapon category was kind of annoying, especially with how underpowered SMGs were at launch, and to an extent still are. With a game with this high of health, and long of TTK, SMGs can kind of fall to the wayside, and it makes leveling them and getting some of these challenges really rough. And then obviously, like I said, those tactical challenges were just a bear to get. So kind of an annoying category, but overall it's still an automatic weapon, and to me, I still enjoy using SMGs, so it wasn't too bad at the end of the day. Next up, we had the battle rifle category. So again, right off the top, first challenge, get 50 kills, super easy. Second one is get 50 full auto kills, which I think is literally the default setting on all battle rifles. So this is just get another 50 kills. You're always going to have full auto enabled, and you can just get 50 kills that way. Next up is get 10 kills with a magnification scope. Now, they worded it kind of poorly. It just means anything but iron sights. So slap a red dot on, the slate reflector, whatever your favorite red dot sight is, that works as well. I think the first one I used, I tried using a 4.0 optic or something like that, and then I learned, no, you just need to use a red dot. So it's worded kind of poorly. Just know anything that is an iron sights. And again, super easy and quick, literally kind of laughably so, honestly. Only 10 kills are needed for this challenge. Then obviously we have 15 headshots. Like I said above, 15 headshots isn't nothing crazy. It's it maybe takes you 2 or 3 matches if you really aim for the head. I recommend using the holotherm sight. For whatever reason, I seem to get a lot more headshots that way. It's a lot easier to see the outlines of people, stuff like that. So if you're struggling, I definitely recommend the holotherm sight. So overall, this category is super easy. There's only 3 guns. And I will say, though, the Sidewinder is the worst weapon in the game, and I think factually so. I think statistically it is the worst weapon in the game at the moment. And at the time, whenever I was getting the Sidewinder attachment, I still hadn't started my hardcore playlist endeavor yet, so I was still playing in core modes, and that thing was just absolutely terrible. Even when I shifted over to hardcore to finish up some of the challenges on it, it's just almost unusable. And obviously that meant leveling the thing up was just as annoying, but that was really my first real issue with a weapon that was just so underpowered that it was rough to use and level and get challenges for. But the challenges themselves are easy, even if the guns that you have to use to get them aren't so easy to use. So that about wraps up battle rifles. We'll move on to shotguns. Again, first challenge, just get 50 kills. Next is 50 hipfire, which again, it kind of follows this trend of it's kind of how you're going to be using the gun anyways. So just get another 50 kills. Obviously, sometimes you aim down sight with a shotgun, but the bulk of kills that people are going to get are are going to be hip fire because that's kind of how shotguns work. Now, the number's a little high, but again, this is a second camo challenge you get. You're going to unlock this way before you even hit max level with the gun, so don't even worry about it. Just play the game normally and you'll get it. Next up is 10 ADS kills, a laughably small amount, especially, like I said, you can aim down sight and get plenty of kills with shotgun, so not a problem at all. Super easy challenge. Last up is 15 double kills. Now this one can be slightly difficult with some of the shotguns, and especially if you're not in hardcore mode. Like, for example, the Haymaker is terrible, and without an extended clip or some damage modifiers or playing in hardcore, this challenge can be very annoying, especially with the time to kill in normal playlists. But by this point I had shifted to hardcore. I definitely recommend hardcore. Everything's pretty much a one-shot kill at decent ranges for shotguns, and that makes double kills so much easier. Obviously, if you're playing on shipment, double kills just throw themselves at you, but on normal maps, it can kind of be a problem. I think overall, I didn't really have much of a problem here. Again, I think there's only 3 shotguns. Hardcore helped me out a lot, especially with the Haymaker, since it's a garbage hit marker machine. But most challenges here, you don't have to change your playstyle whatsoever. They're just kind of kills that you're going to get while playing the game anyways, with the exception of double kills maybe giving you a little bit of hassle. I wouldn't expect too much trouble with the shotgun category. Next up, we have LMGs, the light machine guns. So obviously, first challenge, 50 kills, and then you move on to 10 penetration kills, which in my estimation is probably the second most annoying behind the tactical kills. You end up having to find kind of cheesy spots on maps and then camp them out, hoping someone kind of runs into your quote-unquote trap that you've set up or runs into your line of sight. And that can be kind of annoying. Obviously, you could just play the game and kind of organically get penetration kills, but you're probably only going to get maybe 1 a game or so in my experience. So unless, you want to just grind that out that way, you're going to have to set up these spots. I will say there is a nice fence spot in Scrapyard and a couple nice spots in High Rise as well. So those are some decent ways to get it. Obviously, there's several guides on YouTube for all of the map spots. I'm not going to highlight them here, but there are several spots around certain maps that you can put yourself between a fence or between a piece of plywood, stuff like that. Although I will say, again, with this challenge, tracking is abysmal. Now, with the LMGs, it wasn't too bad, but whenever this specific challenge comes back again for one of the sniper rifles, and we'll talk about that during our Forged challenge video, it is just absolutely, the tracking on it was mind-numbingly awful. Like, I got 7 penetration kills in a row without a single one counting. Again, the LMGs, like we're talking about right now, though, seemed to track a little better, but there were still several times when I was visibly shooting through an object and still didn't get the kill. I'd get the kill, but I wouldn't get credit for a penetration kill. So this challenge is kind of annoying. Again, it's only 10, so it still shouldn't give you too much of an issue, but be prepared to kind of camp your ass off in a certain part of the map to, try to make this challenge a little easier. Next up, we have 10 kills while fully loaded, which is kind of vaguely worded and kind of poorly worded. I had to look up exactly what it meant. It just means you need 5 attachments. That's super easy. Literally just slap 5 attachments on your weapon and then get 10 kills, which is half of a match, not even. So super easy to get there. And then finally, we have 10 double kills, which obviously is pretty easy with an LMG since you shouldn't have to reload, especially if you're playing in hardcore. And, like we talked about before, if you're on Shipment or Rust or any of those playlists, this is going to be laughably easy for you. I was having a slight issue in normal 6v6 on some of the normal maps, just because enemy teams sometimes don't stick together, especially in the sweatier lobbies. They don't line up as easier, so to speak, but overall, really easy. There's no terrible guns. I enjoyed using all of the LMGs. They aren't great in the meta because of their handle speeds, but it's not the end of the world. They're still all usable. There wasn't a standout terrible gun or anything. Penetration kills can be annoying, but if you get the right map and you manage to get lucky with people walking down your line of sight that you need them to, this can go very, very quickly. Everything else, you really don't have to change up your play style, and it should be pretty easy for you. Next up, we have marksman rifles. Now, again, just to preface, I hate using marksman rifles, so this was kind of a rough category for me. This is when the grind really started getting to my mental, and it was not fun. First up, 50 kills, obviously, nothing new there. Next up, 50 headshots. Now, that is a lot more compared to a lot of the other challenges, right? Most of the other challenges are like 10 headshots or 25 headshot, or 15 rather. Some of the later, like, mastery camos are like get 3 headshots with a suppressor, right? Like, to get 50 is vastly longer in terms of like a time commitment. Again, I know they're going for the theme of like the first 2 challenges are get 50 kills in more or less the same way. But it just seems like a really, like we talked about before, these challenges are really inconsistent. They don't make much sense, between how easy they are to get amongst one another. Still, it's not that bad. It's still a lot less headshots than were required in previous games. It just took a lot longer than a lot of these challenges, but still a relatively straightforward and easy one that you should mostly get through normal gameplay. Next up is 10 kills without attachments. Obviously, this can kind of be slightly rough just because iron sights suck on some of these weapons, and a lot of these weapons need mobility boosting attachments to be competitive. But again, it's 10 kills. Like, you can really slog it out to just deal with it and get 10 kills and then slap all your attachments back on, so it's not hard at all. And then finally, for marksman rifles, you need 15... You need to get 2 kills without dying 15 times. Let's word it that way. It tracks really weirdly. Like, sometimes it wouldn't track whenever I'd clearly get it. It would stop tracking. Sometimes it would track if you got like 2, 4, 6 kills without dying. Sometimes it would only count those first 2. Other times I would literally get 1 kill and it would count it. So the tracking is really messed up with these kills without dying or kills in the same clip challenges. I don't know what Sledgehammer did, but it's super inconsistent and kind of annoying, to be honest. But again, pretty easy at the end of the day. I got it super quick for all of them. Overall, I just hated using the marksman rifles in general. At that point, I think Meat was the current playlist, and to try to use these things in hardcore on the new Meat map, like during the Meat 24/7 playlist, to try to get the most amount of XP and stuff per hour was just... Oh God, it was awful. I don't even want to think about it, to be honest. I hate single shot weapons. These are all single, semi-auto rifles, so I hated that. And they just feel super outclassed in this game, like really outclassed in this game. Almost anything is better than a marksman rifle. That's why you hardly see anyone using them outside of camo challenges, and that just made everything else worse, especially the leveling, right? The challenges themselves aren't that bad, but leveling the guns is just a nightmare. And, I think some of them have a pretty high level cap, and that was just something that I don't want to relive. And again, like we touched on, finally, the headshots were a bit much, but nothing that we haven't seen before, and still honestly pretty easy. So the final group for the primary weapons is the sniper rifle category. So obviously first one, 50 kills. Second one is 50 kills shortly after ADS. This is meant to evoke the quick scoping side of things, but in reality, it's super generous with the scope time. Like, you don't have to quick scope. You can kind of scope in, and it seems to be like 2, 3, 4 second delay. So pretty much how you use a sniper rifle, unless you're really hard scoping down a lane or something, almost every kill is going to count. So again, this is just another one of those, play the game how you normally would, get 50 more kills, you'll be good. Next up is 3 kills in 1 mag 10 times. Now this is kind of on the harder end of challenges, especially when you compare it to some of these other ones that we've gone over, but it's still pretty easily done. And especially like I talked about before, like, it tracks really weird. Like, you may think like, oh man, I can't string anything together. I haven't even gotten 2 kill streak yet. Next thing you know, the notification pops up that you've unlocked the challenge. I don't know what's going on with it. Obviously, strive to get those 3 kills and then immediately reload, because I did have several times where maybe I'd get 4 or 5 kills in a single mag because I was playing on hardcore, and it wouldn't count it. So I would get 3 kills and then, make a conscious decision to reload or die, one of the two. So definitely that's my piece of advice for that challenge. But overall, it seems fairly easy. I definitely recommend hardcore because then you won't have to worry about hit markers. Every bullet will essentially be a kill if you hit your target. Next up is 15 one-shot kills. Again, it's a sniper rifle. You play in hardcore. Every single time you hit somebody, it's going to be a one-shot kill. So just play in hardcore, and you'll be done in no time. Super easy challenge. So overall, for the snipers, it's the same as the marksman rifles. I hated using them because I suck with them. I didn't mind the longbow, especially in hardcore, but like just leveling these things sucked. I think one of them is level 33, another one's like 31 levels that you have to get, so just obscene amounts of levels. And this was towards the end of my grind. I saw the light at the end of the tunnel in terms of leveling, and so I was just throwing everything that would stick because playing with these in pubs sucked. Playing with these on Meat 24/7 or Rust or whatever sucked. So I ended up leveling some of these guns in zombies. I did some Invasion. I played some Invasion, which was actually pretty fun, just because I physically could not get enough kills for it to be worth it in my mind in normal multiplayer, especially with skill-based matchmaking. And especially with how snipers feel in this game, they feel extremely clunky and honestly pretty unappealing. So that about wraps it up for the primaries. One last category we'll touch on is pistols because this is the last category that I had to do. And first challenge, obviously just 50 kills. Next one, 50 ADS. So just like the assault rifles, pretty much how you play the game normally. Next up is 10 kills while moving. Again, most of your kills are going to be moving as well unless you're sitting in a corner, so super easy to get. And then finally, you just have 15 akimbo kills, which honestly, in my mind, was a pretty fun challenge. I love any challenge that makes you use a real quirky and fun attachment like akimbo. I loved when they brought akimbo in the original Modern Warfare 2 back in 2009. So this was kind of a lighthearted challenge, right? You feel like, kind of a goofball running around with akimbo pistols, and it's only 15 kills for it too, so it was super fun. Slapped it on for half a match and shipment, and I was done before I know it. Now overall for the pistols, I heavily recommend hardcore like I have for a lot of these. The pistols just aren't that great in core modes, and in hardcore they're just suddenly god tier. That is with the exception of the tier, which is by far my least favorite gun. I know I complained a lot about the Sidewinder. I would marry the Sidewinder and have several children with it before I ever even looked at the tier a single time. It's terrible. It's your typical revolver pistol that sucks in Call of Duty, but they added a trigger delay as well. So you press the trigger and it doesn't fire right away. It's almost like you have to charge the shot up. They do make triggers that kind of minimize that, but still, there is even still a slight delay. You almost feel like you're playing with input lag on like an old HD TV. It's just, oh god, that single weapon almost made me quit the grind, especially the leveling portion for that. But the other pistols I enjoyed using. I enjoyed the little machine pistol, like the little mini Uzi type thing. Obviously, the first pistol is just god mode in hardcore, one-shot kills. The Raffica, or whatever it's called in this game, the Renetti, I guess, is super fun to use. Just overall, pretty fun weapon category with the exception of tier. Tier took me forever and probably took a few years off my life, if I'm to be honest. So that brings us to the end, guys. Just to give a final conclusion, honestly, the worst part of doing this, if you guys are looking to get into the Master Camo grind and you're starting out with this video, the worst part that you'll run into is leveling all the weapons. Make sure you have a bunch of double gun XP tokens saved up. Make sure to clear your calendar anytime there's a double XP weekend. Just grind the hell out of the game whenever those weekends come up. And, just get a lot of those levels out of the way. Because once the weapon levels are done, it honestly is smooth sailing. There's a lot of annoying challenges along the way, but especially for these base camo challenges, these base challenges are super easy. You just need to get the levels to get there. Most challenges in this tier, like I said, were super easy, and they should be, right? They're just the base camos. They're nothing crazy. You probably will never use them again. They're just that introductory thing to get you used to the weapon and stuff like that, and I'm really happy that they made them easy. There also is some great base camos. They did a great job, designing some of these, like we talked about before, and kudos to the art team for a lot of these camos. They look fantastic. Like we talked about before, the tactical challenge needs to go die and be buried and never to be seen again. I don't know who came up with that challenge, but you and me have a beef, whoever you are. It is absolutely terrible. And hopefully you guys get lucky and get some free kills from the side on shipment or something. You watch somebody spawn in front of you and you can stun them and kill them before they even know you're there, type of thing. That's how I end up finishing it. So be prepared to swear at your monitor a couple times and make sure not to spike the controller whenever that challenge comes up. And then obviously penetration kills, also not so great. And, everything would have been a lot easier, but the challenge tracking in this game is just not great. So that really padded out the playtime, and that added to a lot of the frustration. So this about wraps it up for talking everything about the base camo challenges. Obviously, in the next video, probably coming out here in a week or two, we will discuss all of the gold camo challenges and kind of give a similar rundown. It'll probably be a much shorter video then, but let me know down below in the comment section what you thought the hardest challenge was and the easiest challenge was here in the base camo challenges. And let me know kind of where you're at on the camo grind. If you're doing the camo grind this year, like I said, let me know down below. And if you've enjoyed this video, if you've stuck around this long, make sure to leave a like to help the channel out and consider subscribing to grow our family here on the channel. And yeah, until next time, guys, have a good one.